Welcome everyone to part 2 of Cargo's rant on professional wrestling and the WWE. I was just earlier talking about the women's division and how it's turned into one giant ball of crap. And how they keep having these stupid matches which aren't even real wrestling matches. It's hard to call them that because, as I said, all it is one giant attempt to get all the guys excited. The stupid underwear matches, for example. If I wanted to see women prancing around in their underwear, I'll pick up a Victoria's Secret catalog, or go on the internet, or order softcore porn or something like that off of my cable box. But I don't need to because I have an imagination. Sometimes I'll do that sort of thing because what guy doesn't, but I don't need to. And then, if it wasn't bad enough that they have these stupid matches, again, if you can call them that, they have popularity contests where the women get in the ring and they pose in their bikinis and their swimsuits and prance around and dance and sing and get judged by the audience. I don't know about everyone else, but I want to watch wrestling and not have all the time filled with this stupid unnecessary BS when they could be focusing on the wrestling. It just shows that these women, if anything, these matches and these popularity contests just prove these women can't wrestle because they have to do this stuff to actually look decent or to actually get anyone excited. Because when they actually wrestle, it's terrible. And the biggest popularity contest that they have is the stupid Diva Search contest that they've been doing. That's the absolute worst example of it, and how the whole division is just getting pushed further and further down the toilet. It's one big, giant popularity contest, one after another, to get more women that can't wrestle. And the winners of these Diva Search contests, because they can't wrestle, they get injured fast. Because they don't know what they're doing. In general, as I said, the WWE and professional wrestling in general seems to just hire people based on physical looks and character traits rather than actual wrestling ability. It's just sad. They should train wrestlers who can wrestle and make it believable, because that's what you're supposed to do. By the way, has anyone been seeing these stupid polls that WWE has been doing? Like, to ask people what they're thinking on going on the internet or their mobile phones and whatnot? And these people, and I think they may just be intentionally doing this to create more popularity contests because people take the questions the wrong way. For instance, when just before WrestleMania there was a question of who will win the championship, Cena, Orton, or Triple H. And guess what? Everyone voted for Triple H and Cena, and hardly anyone voted for Randy Orton because they didn't understand the question. It wasn't who should win, it was who do you think will win? If people actually thought with their brains, they understand the question. And I guarantee you the people who voted Randy Orton understood it. It's more of these wrestling fans who think it's real. And these fans are annoying. As I mentioned, if you believe it's real, stay away from me and go get help. Because you just blabber on and on and on and act like you know what you're talking about. You talk about how this wrestler is great and this wrestler sucks just because they're booed or cheered. And not understand how heels and faces work. They do that intentionally. They're actors. They act a certain way to make you hate them or like them. The heel is the person who acts in a way to make you hate them, and vice versa for the faces. The only exception to this is John Cena, who gets cheered who gets booed even though he's a face, even though he tries to be one. He should really go back to being a heel because he gets booed way too much. And I have to agree with the people who say he can't wrestle very well. Yeah, another thing, I wanted to mention how kids should not be wrestling fans or watching wrestling because of the content. It used to be a family-oriented affair back in the 80s, but now, because of the women's division and storylines and some of the violence and how realistic it looks, kids under 10 years old should not be watching it, in my opinion. Unless you have proper supervision and you really explain it to them. But I think anyone under 10 won't understand it, even if you try to explain it to them. Now I'd like to talk about how, since WWE has bought out most of the competition, they can get away with too much. I mean, they bought out WCW and ECW, and they have 3 different shows. The Raw, ECW, and SmackDown, and they have no variation in the content and style. They're all the same shows. One should be all wrestling, one should be half wrestling and half entertainment, etc. They should all have their own identity instead of all being the same. And by the way, if you're going to call something ECW, which is Extreme Championship Wrestling, you need to bring back the hardcore matches in that, because it's not ECW without them. You don't need to have them all the time, but you definitely need to bring them back. And no, don't call them Extreme Rules matches, because that's stupid. Call them what they are. Hardcore matches. By the way, why are there 5 to 6 different names for the same match? The No Rules match? They have Street Fight, no disqualification, no falls and no countouts. It's all the same match disguised because they changed the name. And they do seem to alter the style of each No Rules match to make them different, but it's still the same match. So that really bugs me. I also like to talk about TNA and how they're copying stuff that WWE is doing. For instance, I saw Petey Williams and Big Papa Pump with briefcases guaranteeing them title shots. Money in the Bank, anyone? It looks like they're copying WWE's ideas. And it's really sad to see because they used to have an original product. They had the 6-sided ring, the Lockdown pay-per-view, which had a bunch of different matches in the steel cage where they locked the top down. And then they brought back the hardcore style matches. They had the X division, which was the high-flying division with no weight limits, and the unique matches to go with it was such as Ultimate X. But now they're ruining the division by bringing in wrestlers that can't do it. And they have a women's division now, and it sounded good, but unfortunately, it has the same problems that WWE has, so that's a joke too. And TNA used to promote itself as being the show for the real wrestling fan, but yeah, it's just become the same thing that WWE has, and it's really sad to see it. That all we have to watch as far as wrestling is concerned on TV is this crap. Well, that ends this little rant of mine. Thank you for listening. This has been Cargo, signing off. Slick.